Just got a clarification just to discuss a few things. So, the rate frequency of skin sellers where people are orchestrating with large scale economic or color crime, and they're trying to traffic high volumes of people into visible establishments. And then what goes on secretly behind the closed doors at the establishments, whether it's employees in the back, or people that are recruited to visit their patronage, to visit the franchise, the corporate location, and they sneak into the restroom that's available, and they whatever activities they participate in. My understanding is that it's the employees that are recruiting people, or the people that learn that the space is available in that capacity, I suppose, even if implicitly, like they're like Starbucks is not an office. It's not a workspace office. I've just discussed the hypotheticals of like a workspace office charges, I think, about $10, $10 US for it's like a sitting fee, an hour. So as far as adult daycare or workspace, those are my ventures. And I need to speak to Howard, and this is a waste of my time, and Howard's being really extremely disrespectful and not following up and letting these people at the corporation act like imbeciles and treat me so disrespectfully. So like that is, we burned a bridge there, basically. So I don't have any tolerance for that. But as far as like William Arthur Philip Lewis, Spencer, my ex-husband, how many times he had walked into the cab, like entered the front door as a police officer, dressed in a police officer's uniform, driving a car. I know there was one instance where I was at a high top table. There's only 2 high top tables. The last time I was at the 39th Street location, I had the computer set up. I had the variation of him and Harry's pictures as our desktop background. And I stood there. I only had 2 pairs of tights to wear that were pretty sheer. Didn't even have underwear or bodysuit to wear. May have had this jacket on, and I just stood there. I stood up and I stood there, and I faced him, and he pushed right past me and left. So that was the last time I saw him there. As far as Whitney or whoever putting the Starbucks emblem bag on the shelf and writing sleep or something, using letters to write something to try, like, to mimic the effects of a psychedelic, that's the issue with Whitney. She styles herself to try to be capable of what's genetic for me and my dad. That's the reality. So she likes to mislead people, and she jokes about it, and she's empowered and she's emboldened. And there have been complaints filed about Whitney at the corporation. People have moved from one location to another because they don't want to work with her. She's not me. And there's no way physically anyone would ever confuse her for me. She's disgusting, and how she got to that location has to be investigated as well. She sneaks into all the locations after hours, and she uses the kitchen. It's a biological lab, and they do that. She knows someone that works here that has done something similar. So as far as a split line and people placing separate orders that they're putting chemical agents in, they pass it over the same counter. But did my husband or my ex-husband, did William walk in dressed as a police officer and I was collapsed and he just left me? Is that what people are trying to say happened? Because I've seen people walking in the neighborhood and they seem very like disdained. Like, this is really devastating and you're not telling me information that you need to tell me, because it doesn't matter how William Arthur Philip Lewis is or isn't coping. He's failed me. And for whatever reason, life has forever changed. then this is irreconcilable differences. Like, we'll never be able to recover from this. So, like, I have a lot going on. I can't, I've made my best effort. I don't have anything to say. So he was there that last time. And then, as best as I was able to communicate, he was not to ever be at that cafe or outside dressed as a police officer ever again. Ever. I was to have the physical address of where he was staying, and I needed to know who transported him to Philadelphia from Europe, because he was hypothetically illegally detained in a prison in Europe. Him, Harry, Lewis, and one other brother, so 3 total. So how did you get here? So he was there one time, and then there was a guy named Steve that they tried to say was him. Steve might be Matt Tiedemann. Matt might go by the name Steve when he's working. That's not William. So that's what I was trying to verify. Who's going by what name? And there's a few other police officers that have been there. All of them are hypothetically my biological older brothers through Carolyn, but they don't know that they're related to me. So some of them have walked in by themselves, same gender car, that's where it was like a task assignment, and one was partnered with a woman that appeared to be racially brown, and I asked for him to be reassigned because we don't support that. I don't support that. And that woman she did something to try to hurt me and compromise me, and he's walking around all lax like, no, she's a problem. She's disgusting. Nobody like that can ever be seen with anybody. No one that looks like that can ever be seen with me, or a biological family member that wants to be acknowledged as being biologically related to me. So William may have been, I wasn't sure if he was there 2 to 3 times, and then the last time would have been in July. So I was prepared I had a different rolling luggage with me. He's not capable of rising to the occasion. But no matter what, because of what the origin narrative is, I still have to proceed that way, even though he's publicly humiliated me in a way that could have sabotaged my image for the rest of my life. So he's not worth it. And he did that on purpose. That's not a protection strategy. He can't cope with whatever he's not telling me. So as far as, I don't know, that was the last time he was there. That was the last time I saw him there. He was never to be there ever again. How do you order coffee? You're not making sure I have food. You're not making sure I have somewhere to stay. And you're waltzing into Starbucks in a police uniform, like a young man dressed very nicely in a police uniform, ordering coffee, going and getting snuggled up at the bar instead of rushing to make sure that I'm okay. Is that a joke? No. So I hope he does suffer, is exactly right. But prior to that, I wasn't sure if he was there 1 or 2 times. So there are a few older brothers that have one has very blonde hair, and that's Lindsey Graham's son. That's primary dad. It kind of looks like him, sort of. Then there's another one that's Mitch McConnell's. That's his primary dad. He's a little bit shorter. His hair is blonde, like very, very blonde, but not as blonde. He wasn't shaven and had some brown hair, and he wore glasses. And then there was Matt, who apparently had like a very conservative buzz cut and had bleached his hair and was wearing glasses and maybe was not the shortest. And then there were two with brown hair. Well, one had a complete buzz cut. The other one that was very, very blonde didn't have a tattoo. The one that's Lindsay's had the tattoo. And the one that's Mitch's is, looks like he's not Walt Marciani, but he's kind of, he doesn't look like him, but he kind of moves around like that, if that's the best, like not at all, but sort of kind of, that's the right way to say that. The taller one that has the same blonde hair as Brand's, but is like a little more blonde, that's like how my hair is supposed to be. I don't know his name. And then there's the one that has a close cropped buzz cut that's brown hair, who looks like Harry with brown hair, or the image that they circulate, but doesn't look like Tristan, and doesn't look like the other Colin that looks like Tristan. Who had a female partner was a problem and asked for him to be reassigned. And then there's a taller, thinner, like gladiator build that's like almost bald buzz cut that seems to have brown hair. Those are hypothetically my workers, all of them, through Carolyn. But I don't know if like, not Jean's, I don't know if Jean Simmons is like their dad or I don't know. I don't know. I'm not certain. But they're like that in comparison, but they're still white. That's what it is. So I can't approach them and I can't introduce myself if I don't have the appropriate documentation. And I can't like offer a payroll right now. But the woman that was there that day, there were four of them by the trash cans. The one police officer that appeared to be a biological woman, buzz cut, dark hair, top bun, she's a problem. So my brother, those two, so there's another one that almost looks like Mitch's. Those two, or just one, are my brothers. And one seemed to kind of know that something was going on. The other one with the tattoo that stood outside for a few minutes, completely oblivious. Like, I don't know, he was kind, but I don't know what that was about because I don't know what that was about at all. So he was, I don't know what that was about. So, because they could walk over and introduce themselves to me anytime, and they did not. Now, I don't trust the police force here, to be very honest, like at all. And then I have a few brothers that work for the Penn Police, but they don't know that I exist. So one may have been, apparently, allegedly, I was resting near a dumpster. That may have been when I don't, it's very tough for me to understand. Nobody can really get close to me, if that makes sense. So like the gash along the scar along my pubic region may have been from the type of weapon, the size of the weapon, and how sharp the blade was. As I was like the forensics of the body mechanics as I was getting. So I may have been resting supine, and they may have tried to drag a serrated blade that's almost like a rake across my abdomen, and I got up. So it would have been more of a superficial wound than not. And then Frankie's sister Jessie may have had a separate wound. So there was a security ambassador there's the yellow and the neon. Well, I need that information, but I will not go into the Penn Police Station. I don't trust that they won't try to hold me. I don't trust that they would let me out of the building at all. I don't trust them. So I don't know what the police that work for the Penn Police say, but in some ways I think there's some strengths to the Penn Police in comparison to the Philly Police, but I don't trust the police at all, to be very honest. They've not been good to me, and because of that, I don't really know that I want those agencies on my land. So they abuse power. They abuse power and they aid and abet too much. That's too dangerous. That's compromising my safety. So as far as taking inventory on what brothers are working where, of course that matters to me. Of course I want to make sure I really thoroughly understand the influencing factors of what's dire for them and what they really hope for their lives. And I can't help but wonder, because we're biologically related, that I don't know, I'm curious and I really want to make sure that I understand that they're okay and that they're okay with what their life circumstances, not because there's anything wrong, but just I want to make sure that we really, there was a concern about how they were conceived and how they ended up wherever they ended up. So Dad John did want to find all of them, and me and my dad were in agreement on that. And Howard was that was really important to him too. So we just want to make sure that they're okay, if they are okay to accept my curiosity. But I don't think that they need me. I don't think that they need a relationship with me. I think that if we can be positive supports for each other, we can't help but be bonded to each other. So these, as I mentioned earlier, these topics are really tough. And I do believe that I can be, irritated and annoyed and still speak about my concerns about denigrating people and that was superiority complex. But nobody cares. No one's like, I gotta take care of myself. So I've not foregone taking care of myself, and that's really important to me, that people understand that this is a poor situation, and to have realistic expectations for an actual direct conversation with me. So I'm dumbfounded with, you don't acknowledge that I exist. You don't acknowledge what I've accomplished, and how do you even, how am I supposed to be receptive to anything productive? Like, I don't know how to, this is a waste. So until people understand who I am, they're not going to understand how to interact with me. And so that's what I've tried, the predictability and the visibility, but I need all the legitimacy available at all times. So I need to be able to see myself, I need the documents, and people need to be when I'm in area. Like they can't, like, we want to encourage what we're able to, not want to encourage, we want to support thriving the best way that we're able to. But there also has to be, this is just really bad for a lot of people. There's going to be the sandwiches in about an hour and a half. And this is a complete disruption to scheduling, whereas I'm trying to sustain and maintain and optimize, whereas I could have, like, just by the cafe opening an hour later on Saturdays, I still could have tried to find a way to get to the clothing closet and leave it back inside. Now I've been just completely inconvenienced, and I still have to pay. So I just want to be respectful. I cherish that I have brothers, and I never take that for granted. I think this is very special.